It's been tough. A year of unknown everydays. We miss being social, hanging with our crews, running the streets with
Welcome, everybody. Welcome from the press conference presenter, Urs Weber, and welcome to all of us who are joining us for this Thursday press conference in the BMW Berlin Marathon 2021, joining us via live stream around the world. And Urs Weber will be your host throughout this press conference. We'd like to welcome you. Hope you're going to find it an interesting press conference, and also kindly just mentioned that I'll be doing the translation. So whatever is being said in German, I will translate into English for the benefit of the live stream. But now let's start with a few news items. And we all know how difficult it's been for runners, wherever they may be in this time of pandemic, and everybody else. But that's why, as Urs Weber says, the runners and the inline skaters in the race on Saturday, the marathon is on Sunday, are looking forward so much to the weekend's activities. Urs Weber just introducing himself again. I preempted him, but he is actually editor of Runners World Germany. And we have some top names for you. We'll be talking to the CEO of the BMW Berlin Marathon and SCC Events, the organising company. That's Jürgen Lock, and also the race director, Mark Milder, a long-time race director in Berlin, and the Milder family famously connected with the race throughout its history. And then we'll be talking with some of the best inline skaters. And then today it is the at the pinnacle of this press conference, the elite women. And top of the list, the world's fastest marathon runner among the women this year, Hiwot Gebrekidan from Ethiopia, and her fellow Ethiopian, Shure Demise. And then we'll also be hearing from the German hope, a local runner in Berlin, Rabea Schöneborn, who's been promising, showing some very promising form recently. But we're going to start with the inline skaters, and someone who won the first ever inline skating marathon in Berlin. That was in 1997. That's Pascal Briand, who is now manager, and he's manager of one of the best teams in the inline skating world, and that's the Power Slide Matter International. That's Pascal Briand. He'll be one of those we're welcoming onto stage. But firstly, Jürgen Lock, the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of SCC Events, the organising company which puts on BMW Berlin Marathon, but also many other races and events throughout the year. Just a few microphone tech problems, and now we're away with Jürgen Lock. Jürgen Lock, the CEO of BMW Berlin Marathon, saying he's delighted to welcome everybody to this weekend. And Jürgen Lock saying, well, I think we've done enough, put in a lot of blood, sweat and tears to have good weather. Today isn't so great outside, a little windy. As I stepped out of the hotel, the race hotel where this press conference is taking place, it's windy and overcast. And the marathon is a culmination of various events being held as the running scene got into motion. We had recently the Berlin Half Marathon. And Jürgen Lock also saying for the thank you, a big thank you to the support from sponsors, to keep these events going, and the Berlin Senate, who have played a key role in supporting the race, and all the hygiene, the COVID measures which are in force, very much in force, not least within the hotel. Was Weber mentioning, was probably well known that Berlin is the greatest running city, not only the capital of the country, but the greatest running country in Germany. So what are the innovations we can expect this weekend? And Jürgen Loch, the CEO of STC events and Berlin Marathon, saying yes, from November we started planning for what we hoped would be this racing weekend, working closely with scientists throughout Germany to establish the best possible hygiene protocol in terms of the pandemic and the threat of the coronavirus. And Jürgen Loch saying our aim was to have 90% of those who are running on Sunday to have had their jabs, geimpft, as the German word is. And I don't need to translate that motto from Jürgen Loch, but it's worth repeating. Keep it simple. Simple but sure and secure. And the participants are being tested yet again in the Tempelhof area, the site of what was one of the airports of Berlin. So if anybody is feeling ill and has shown a positive test, they can, it can be shown that they would need to withdraw. And also they're pointing out that the hand bands we're wearing, and myself included, around our wrists shows that we've produced a negative test, and we've gone through all the COVID protocol, including us who are staying at the hotel, the race hotel, and indeed those who are visiting. So the strict COVID protocol applies to everybody involved. And Jürgen Loch says, well, frankly, yes, we are very proud of what all of us, working in cooperation with so many people, including the scientists and the Berlin Senate, what we've been able to achieve. And this will be the biggest marathon this year when that starting gun goes off on Sunday morning. And Jürgen Loch saying that I think we need these kinds of events, and the big marathons to start coming in. Berlin is not the first of the big marathons, but this will be the biggest in terms of numbers so far this year. And the aim has always been to create a giant bubble to show that major sports events are possible without an outbreak of the coronavirus. And also asking, is it important for the city of Berlin to show that we can put this on? And Jürgen Loch saying, yes, certainly in terms of financial significance, a marathon, the Berlin Marathon, is of immense significance to the city of Berlin. Those runners and their partners and friends who are coming from abroad, but also from Germany itself. And all of us in Berlin can be proud of the contribution that the marathon makes. And also Weber pointing out, and indeed he's well placed to know as editor of Runners World Germany, that many running events, especially those of the smaller level, have had a year without any income. They're in a parlous, dangerous, perilous situation. Jürgen Lock says, yes, it's been a problem for us as well, but we've managed to keep going, and we're not giving up, or certainly not. And also about now, trying to switch the subject, saying, yes, it's a marathon race on Sunday, but we're also coming up to another kind of race. It's the Bundestagswahl, the Germany's general election, coming up this weekend on Sunday. And of course, it tied in with the BMW Berlin Marathon of 4 years ago, 2017. There was also the Bundestagswahl, the general election in Germany. And they've done everything to ensure that runners and spectators, nothing will get in the way of those who are going to the voting booths to cast their vote in the Bundestagswahl, the general election this Sunday morning either. So we certainly can expect lots of people to be out on the street for one reason or another this Sunday. So, Urs Weber saying, well, we're on the subject of voting. What's your estimate about how many on the start line? So Jürgen Lock saying, well, we reckon we're going to have 25,000 runners on the starting line on Sunday, and in the skating race the day before, around 2,800. So 25,000 runners expected. Well, they've got their entries in, and they've got places and start numbers on the line on Sunday morning. And of course, with all marathons, Urs Weber says, there's the expo, and Jürgen Lock says, well, yes, there is the expo. It's a little different this year, understandably, because of the pandemic and COVID regulations. But there's a lot to see at the expo. It's still worth going to see. Examples of training gear and sportswear. And there's also the usual stands, exhibitions that you would expect at the expo, whether it's on the medical side and merchandise, just always at social distance, of course. But it's still, for any visitor, it's going to be a little different, as you would expect. But Jürgen Lock saying, yes, we certainly hope people go to the expo because it's a great way of getting in the mood for the race on Sunday. And also, but just wanting to check that no one going to the expo, for example, will be rejected depending upon which vaccination they've received. This applies to runners, of course, coming from other countries. They may have had different jabs. Jürgen Lock, who's got a sports medicine background himself, saying, yes, we've tried to refine our process here. Of course, there are the two major medicines, vaccinations. And he says there are runners from 109 countries going to be running on Sunday. Urs Weber saying he's really surprised that is it really 90% of runners from Germany on the start line have had their 2 jabs? And Jürgen Lock saying yes, and yes, and those figures tally with some of the earlier races we put on this year. The Berlin Half Marathon was around the 93% of participants had their double jab. And just if I can add that the Berlin Marathon, BMW Berlin Marathon, following a policy of, in German it's called 3G, 3G, genesen, geimpft und negativ getestet, which means jabbed, recovered, and negative test. That's you've either had a double jab or you've recovered from COVID and you've shown a negative test. But now Urs Weber is just taking the subject matter onto the online skaters, the inline skaters. Well, I suppose you can see inline skating online. And Urs just giving us details. Tomorrow at just after 6:30 p.m., 6:30 in the evening, we'll be having the press conference for the winners and leading finishers of the inline skating marathon, which starts at 3:35 on Saturday morning. The expected times, winning times for the men's inline skating, well, the course record is held by the Belgian Bart Swings, and he's done 56:49. And that is a very snappy course record. The women's course record outside 1 hour, but that's what we expect the kind of winning times to be in the region of. So that's the inline skating post-race press conference tomorrow at 6:30 in this hotel. Well, that was some pictures to bring back the memories, and it's worth noting that all the different conditions, a wet street is a very challenging surface for the inline skaters. But first up on stage, mentioned him earlier, Pascal Briand from France, the first ever BMW Berlin Marathon inline skater champion. That was back in 1997, and he's now a manager. And Pascal Briand will be racing on Saturday. And Jocelyn Pédicorn of France, also from us, the rollerblade speed team. And Jason Suttles was the third inline skater on stage. So Urs Weber saying the Berlin inline skating race is a top race around the world for the skaters. Emotional experiences, Urs is saying, for the skaters to compete in this city. And also for what we might call the inline skating version of the mass runners. They have their chance to compete behind the very best. So we're going to talk to the inline skaters, get a flavour of the race.
And the racing. Are you surprised? You're sitting here when you won the first Marathon. Did you expect to be here in the year 2021 and sit here on the sofa to announce the Inline Marathon?
Yeah, it's quite a surprise, of course. But we are also so happy to have this marathon running for so many years. I was there, I think it was in '97 for the first one. And since that, I've seen so many skater training every day to be able to win this event. So today I'm here also as a manager of one of the pro team. And it's like this race is creating dreams for skater. It's the biggest race in the world. And they train every day to be able to get the feeling of this victory in Berlin. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here to share this moment again. Yeah.
Pascal, maybe you have to explain to the media in 1-2 words. You're the manager now of the team, and it is important to know that all the elite races, they are organized in teams because it's a team sport, right?
Yes, exactly. It's quite similar to cycling teams, actually. So we organize, like we have leaders and skaters who are helping each other in the race. So I'm working for Powerslide, which is one of the biggest racing team, and we have Jason's, which is our young talent in the team, and we are facing some other really good team from Rollerblade, for example, and Duslin is here also to represent this team, and they are probably some of the 2 young talents that I hope will win Berlin Marathon one day also.
Jason, what status has the Berlin Marathon for you? What importance?
Well, for me, it's like almost the same as World Championship, this race, because there are so many skaters. Everybody is always at top level here. So if you win Berlin Marathon, you're like winning for me, it's like winning a World Championship title.
Okay. And what does it mean for you to be in the Powerslide team and together with such big names and Bart Swings, who
for
has
me
won
it's amazing
6 times?
because it was always my dream when I was a kid also to be in the team with Bart and stuff now it came true and I can race with them the Berlin Marathon. So yeah, it's cool.
Coming to you personally, what is your strength in inline skating? Where do you see your best performance?
I think I can dive pretty good in races and like even more in interval stuff. I'm really good, and also because I really love the sport, it's easier to do it, I think.
And we've seen it from your teammate Bart, who has won now 6 times, I think, and has the course record here, and he has won the Berlin Half Marathon here in a record time together with Felix. They broke away after half the race 4 weeks ago. What does it take? What do you have to have as an athlete to be able to win an event like the BMW Berlin Marathon?
Yeah, I think you just have to train hard and be willing to do it. And that's it. I think a lot of sacrifices to make, but if you want it, you can do it, I think.
Okay, sacrifices. So that means
not in a cocky way, but you know what I mean. Like just if you want it and you really train for it, everything is possible. That's what I mean.
Okay, so no party on Friday evening.
No.
Okay. Duslin, you're from Nantes, from south of France, and how have you prepared yourself for the BMW Berlin Marathon?
Yes, of course. I'm from Dijon, and now I'm living in Nantes. And I prepare the marathon. It's always a big event of the year. It's the biggest marathon in inline skating. So, yeah.
Give us an insight into the logic of your team. Did you prepare as a team and discuss who is going to be on the start line on Saturday?
Yeah, we discussed with the team, and for this year we have especially for this event we have the two other guys will come in the team, 2 old winners of Berlin, so they will be experienced. In the team, so I think it would be good.
Pascal, what time did you finish your first marathon when you won here in Berlin, 1997?
It was 1 hour and 6 minutes, something like this, if I'm not wrong. The skates was pretty different, and we have 5 wheels of 80 millimeters. Now the technology improved a lot. We have mostly 3 wheels, 125. But that was quite a good time back in the day. And now I think Bart is racing 56 minutes. And probably it's still possible to go faster. I would not be surprised if one day they reach 55 or even 54 minutes. Yeah.
So what makes the difference? You're naming it the skates. They used to have 5 wheels. Now you have 3 big wheels.
Yeah.
Does this explain the difference of almost 10 minutes in the finish?
Yeah, kind of. The material change a lot. I think the training techniques also improve, I hope, in 20 years. So the team tactics is having influence too. But yeah, the training of the athletes, it's of course getting more professional in 20 years now. And when you see how Doucelin is training in Nantes or Jason in Belgium, they are very dedicated for this, and the training is a part, but the material was also a big part. It really improved inline skating. It makes it also more, let's say, even more popular. The material is easier to manage, so it's good for the development of the sport. Yeah.
Okay, let's have at last first one quick look at the top elite field, because I was announcing already there are very big names at the start list. Who would you count with in the ladies and with men's race?
In the ladies, for sure, Sandrine Tass will be one of the strongest girls from Belgium. Kati Rumpus, also from Germany, I think has big chance for the victory. She has a huge experience in this race. And I would say the team is strong, so I hope those 2 girls can do it. But there is also many other opponents coming from different countries, and some French girls I know are training pretty good also for it. So.
Yeah, okay. Very good. So I wish you a good race. What are you expecting personally on Saturday?
I hope to make 1 hour 25, because I'm racing with a little special program we made with Powerslide called Blue Train. So I will have 100 people with me, and I will help them to break the 1 hour 25 barrier for them. So
very good.
A special experience. Yeah, very cool.
Okay, then I wish you all the best for Saturday for the race. Prepare well, and hope to see you again here on Saturday for the press conference after the race. And so that would mean that you're amongst the first top 3 finishers. But of course, these guys will also be available for interviews later on here in the room. So thank you first for coming, and we'll go on with the top races in a minute here. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Ja, und jetzt begrüßen wir hier noch bei uns den Race Director des BMW Berlin-Marathon.
And now we'd like to bring on stage Mark Milder, Race Director of the BMW Berlin Marathon. So, first of all, Mark, let's talk about the course. And we talked earlier on Monday about the technical developments. So, what can we expect to see? So Mark Milder saying the course remains the same. There are, from time to time of the years, some building works going on, but there's none of this has required that we switch any of the streets. And Mark Milder says he's very happy with the state of the course in terms of the hygiene, cleanliness, and any building work that is taking place. So Weber says, well, tell us more about the organisation at the finish line, because of course, safe distancing and corona, what will it be? So Mark Milder, again, as Jürgen Lock did earlier, talks about the 3G, the 3G concept, which means that the English translation means that you've had the double jabs, you've been jabbed, or you've recovered from COVID, or you've then also produced a negative test for COVID. And Mark Milder says that we followed that policy for the Berlin Half Marathon recently, about a month ago, and that proved very successful, and we're staying on the same course. So Weber, as the moderator says, it's time we brought on some of our top performers. Time for a video. Well, members of the media, let's welcome some great athletes, women athletes from Ethiopia. Shure Demise, and first on stage, Hiwot Gebrekidan. Hiwot Gebrekidan in the dark tracksuit was first on stage. The women's top marathon in the world this year, that is in terms of fast, and Shure Demise is in the white top tracksuit, and we have yet another very fine athlete. This time, one of the local runners, Rabea Schöneborn, who is a rising star on the German scene, and she's run 2:27.03. Did that in Enschede in the Netherlands back in April. So these are our three women elite athletes on stage now, and we're going to have translation from the Amharic by one of our regular translators in Berlin into German, and I'll oblige with English. So, Mark Miller talking about we were looking for pearls to present for this elite women's press conference, and indeed for the race in general, because as we all know, there weren't many races going on for much of the year, so we were trying to look around and see who were talented runners and could bring something to the Berlin race. Of course, there were some very good performances on the shorter distances, but not in the marathon. And talking about the fastest woman in the field from Ethiopia, Hiwot Gebrekidan, who's sitting next to our interpreter. Hiwot is wearing the black tracksuit top, to our interpreter rather. And Hiwot 2:19.35, 2 hours 19 minutes 35. She ran a personal best, fastest time in the world this year, and she won the Milan Marathon in April. She has been coming up through the ranks, run several races in the 2:23, 2:24, but that was her first time breaking that 2:20 barrier. And Mark Miller saying that the way we've selected the women's elite field, we are still hoping for a sub 2:20 clocking. Just a reminder, the women's course record set in 2018, so 3 years ago, by the Kenyan Gladys Cherono, that's 2 hours 18 minutes and 11 seconds. So Rabea Schöneborn, coming into play there. A talented family, and I'm sure we'll come on to that, the Schöneborn family. Twin sister Deborah, also international runner. So, question first for Hiwot Gebrekidan. It may take a little moment or two for the answer to come, because the interpreter will then translate into German, and I'll do my business with English. Yes, Hiwot Gebrekidan says it's my first ever race in Germany. I have very high expectations for my performance on Sunday. I've trained very well. And Osweber putting the question that all the elite runners, women and men who come here, know that Berlin is a very fast course. And do you have a time target for your performance on Sunday? To beat your personal best, perhaps? talking about her win in Milan. So I've tried, my training has all been geared to improving this time of 2:19:35. And so I really want to beat that personal best. Just a little point from me. She's run 66 minutes 47 for second place in the Istanbul half marathon this year. 66:47 is her PB this year in the half marathon for Hiwot Gebrekidan. So a question now for Shure Demise, also Ethiopia. First of all, she thanks the organisers for inviting her to Berlin. And I've prepared well, and I certainly expect to be running around my personal best, which is 2 hours, 20 minutes and 59 seconds for Shure Demise. And also by saying, well, have you heard anything about the Berlin race from other Ethiopian runners who've taken part here? Question first for Hiwot Gebrekidan. Oh, it's Shure Demise, rather. Shure Demise is saying, I've spoken with Ethiopian women runners who've done well here, and they said it's very fast. So that's why I have really high expectations of what I can do. Her best was set 6 years ago, 4th place in Dubai, 2:20:59. Hasn't raced since 2019, but obvious reasons for that. So a question for both of them. I just have to pause a little before the reply comes. Shure Demise is saying, I've got no complaints about my training, my preparation for Berlin. Worked on speed. So I'm happy all round. And now we're going to turn to Rabea Schöneborn. And was asking Rabea, well, many races have not taken place this year because of the pandemic. So this will be the highlight for you? Yeah, Rabea Schöneborn says definitely it'll be a big, big highlight for me. Rabea Schöneborn, I'm laughing because in Fränkischen, in the Frankenland, she ran a fast 10K on the road. So Rabea Schöneborn saying, made a gradual build-up, as is traditional for the marathon. Of course, she was a reserve runner for the German marathon team in the Olympics, and it was her twin sister Deborah who went to the Olympics and did pretty well, finished 54th in torrid conditions. So Rabea was the one who didn't make the trip, but she did the training just in case. And saying that in the last year or so she's been gathering experience about the marathon. And this will be her debut in her Berlin debut. She's a local runner running for the LG Nord club. Also, going back to the personal best that Rabea Schöneborn set, which I mentioned in April in Enschede in the Netherlands. And if you're watching that online, you'll know that Hiwot Gebrekidan came back to form to win there. It was around the Enschede airport. So was Weber saying, well, what was that like running in effect round an airport? I was happy, she says, to just be able to run and take part in a race and get so close. This is me adding it. Get so close to the Olympic qualifying time. She was just 9 seconds outside getting an Olympic qualifying place, but her sister Deborah, twin sister, went to Tokyo instead. It was quite an experience, the airport running in Enschede. You had a good background building up on the shorter distances. And what's your target this Sunday?
Gut.
Rabea Schöneborn saying, I think conditions will be good. Everything looks good for me to perform well on Sunday. And I think I can develop still further with my performance on Sunday. And I've sort of taken advice of not starting too quickly. I think that's one of the key aspects of the marathon. She'll be looking, well, you heard that anyway, negative split. She's saying in her personal best of 2:27.03 in Enschede for third place in the women's field. She ran a negative split that is faster than the opening half marathon. And she's saying when she's on her bike cycling around the city, she gets a thrill, you get that buzz of anticipation, seeing seeing that blue line denoting the BMW Berlin Marathon when she's out running as well. And friends and colleagues also, they all take good notice of it. And the question for us, do you know the whole course well? Yes, says Rabea. But you can't normally run all of it because of the traffic. But I know it because I've accompanied runners on the Berlin Marathon, sometimes going from point to point on the course. And you know all the key points of the marathon. Also, we're just mentioning some of the historic places. The Wilden Eber, where there's always, from memory, that's around 35 kilometers. There's always lots of bands, lots of encouragement for runners of all abilities. And Urs Weber mentioning that there'll be an opportunity for the media here at the press conference to be interviewing the runners after the main press conference is finished in round table format.
Danke, dass du nochmal nach.
So Urs Weber saying that Hiwot Gebrekidan has been talking about 2:19. Will she stick by that? What would she like to give a more definite target? Oh my, Hiwot Gebrekidan says, my style is to start slowly and then to pick up speed. But she doesn't quite want to disclose an exact target time. But it does sound as if she'd be very keen to run a personal best, which as a reminder is 2 hours, 19 minutes and 35 seconds. Now, what about Shure Demise? Or it's still Hiwot Gebrekidan, her second reply. Urs Weber asking what sort of halfway split would you like, and she's talking about 69 minutes or halfway, which of course, if you're doing it simple as a mathematical sum, would put a spot on for maybe a 2:18, 2 hours 18. The offer now going if any colleagues want to ask a question? Rabea Schöneborn asked what sort of time she's aiming for. Half marathon split is she aiming for? So she'd be looking at 1:13:10 and 1:13:20. That is exact. So 1 hour 13:10, between 1 hour 13:10 and 1 hour 13:20, a 10-second differential. Her coach is calling to her from the audience to say, that's what we're looking. Rabea Schöneborn is looking to run. Oh, just at the half marathon split. And Urs Weber is bringing the subject of the shoes. Urs Weber asking about the new shoes, which has been a hot topic in recent months, or indeed a year or so. And Rabea Schöneborn asking about, or saying about his, she wears one of the Adidas models. She likes the shoes, so she'll be wearing them on Sunday. And the shoes she's wearing, they're racing shoes, but I've worn them sometimes in training. Because these are part of the, well, what can I say, the new trend for the built-up heel shoe, and Rabea Schöneborn is saying that she feels she needs to wear the racing shoes in this new model, sometimes in training, because they're constructed differently, and you have to get used to the different construction. And Urs Weber saying, yes, it's a lot has been said about these new shoes. It's a hot topic of discussion. And he's saying he knows many stories of mass runners who have run considerably faster in these new form of shoes. Well, it is indeed an important subject, and probably not heard the last of it. And indeed, there'll be plenty of those shoes on show in the Marathon Expo. And a question comes from the audience, maybe. Oh, yes. Question for Mark Milder. Will the shoes and the dimensions of the shoes be checked? And Mark Milder saying that every athlete has to sign a shoe declaration before the race, saying that their shoes meet the specifications set by the World Athletics, the world governing body. This also refers to situation on September 12th in Vienna, when the men's winner, the first man across the line, was found to be wearing a shoe which contradicted the specifications, had too big a heel or built up plate. And Mark Milder saying the race referee is empowered to check the shoes and rule out any which do not conform to the specifications set by World Athletics. All the specifications about thickness of the sole will be properly checked and are part of the declaration which every athlete has to sign. Urs Weber saying, well, that's clearly a subject which is going to concern many. Another question coming up. The question was about the halfway split time for the women. 69 minutes was mentioned. Does Mark Milder, is there pacemakers arranged for that? Mark Milder saying, well, there may be a difference between what is said at a press conference and what actually happens. Of course, he jokes, it's not a case of people not telling the truth, but what anybody says they're aiming for, in reality, sometimes it turns out differently. And Friday afternoon at the technical meeting, it always happens, it's usually around 5 o'clock, a technical meeting for the elite fields and their managers with the race technical staff. Pacing is worked out and agreed upon, if it's going to happen. Little weather forecast coming up from Jürgen Lock. – 12 to 13 degrees in the morning on Sunday. And all that should be, physiologically speaking, should be very good, 12 to 13 degrees centigrade. And Jürgen Lock saying, from what we know of the weather forecast, the conditions should be very good indeed for the top athletes. And also, we just have a few comments from Mark Milder on the TV and general media coverage. ARD, the national network, will be broadcasting the first 2 hours of the race, and then RBB, the local TV station, will be taking over. So worldwide coverage is planned. So we're confident that there'll be an audience around the world turning to Berlin and the BMW Berlin Marathon. And without wanting to sound arrogant, I think a lot of marathon runners around the world will be turning to Berlin to follow the events. Just a final reminder that our athletes here on stage will then be available for interviews in roundtable form. And that happens also, there's a chance to get something to eat. So, sorry if you're not with us in person and you've been watching the live stream online. I hope we have nothing to be sorry for, and I hope you've enjoyed our live stream coverage. And we'll be coming back on Friday, tomorrow, for the next BMW Berlin Marathon Press Conference, and this time featuring the elite men. And, of course, that will mean including Kenenisa Bekele, who had such a fabulous win here 2 years ago. I think the top athletes are going to have some photos taken. The snappers, as the English jargon has, or maybe that's old-fashioned jargon, but the snappers, the photographers, and the TV crews going to be about their work. And we thank the athletes and everybody who took part, and thank you very much for joining us on live stream with the BMW Berlin Marathon. See you tomorrow, Friday at 11 Central European Time. Bye-bye.